It looks like classic cars are finally returning to the F1 game, and here is why. Many fans who have played the F1 games before F1 2021 will know that classic cars were a yearly addition with that particular season's content, first included in F1 2013, which very quickly became a fan favourite, with a massive selection of cars from the 80s and the 90s. The classic cars would then be absent for the next 3 instalments, but then would return to the series in F1 2017 with an even bigger selection and took us up to the year 2010. Every year until 2020 we would see new classics being added until F1 2021, where they were taken out of the game and haven't been seen since. But 5 years later it looks like we finally have some news and potentially a first look at what classic cars could be coming to future F1 games. And this all happened thanks to an interview given at the recent Goodwood Festival of Speed event, which includes Brad Porter, who is the audio director for EA Sports F1, and his colleague. Brad is the one giving the interview while his colleague is the one fitting the recorders and microphones around a certain area of what is the Benetton B186 from the 1986 season. I do believe the GOAT Arav has done a video on this, but I do need to jump onto this train just because for the last 5 years, if you followed my channel, you'll know that I like to showcase the F1 gaming community's ideas alongside myself's ideas in a series that I do, which is things we all want in the F1 game. I do send them to EA themselves and request little features thereabouts so it can help progress F1 games in the future, and this is a very highly requested feature that has been going on ever since I started this series, and obviously not just me showing this in my series, obviously it's a highly requested feature overall, but it's very great to see after all this time classic cars are finally getting talked about once again, and we're probably closer than ever to seeing them, and it feels like forever since we last seen them, since it was F1 2020. It's a deeply special feature to all the F1 fans who play the F1 games, and there's a lot of new fans in this as well. It's probably never I got the chance to experience the classic cars, because now when you go to buy the F1 game on Steam or anywhere or digital platforms, everything's been taken down. You can only buy physical copies, and trust me, that's a lot of money just to get a physical copy, and I wouldn't even say it's worth it. So, you know, a lot of new fans haven't even had the chance to play these classic cars, and it's quite a shame, but, you know, we're here now, and good times are coming. What I'm going to be doing here is breaking down all the details that Brad gave us from this interview. The interview itself is 3 minutes. Of course, I'm not going to show you the full 3-minute interview. I'm only going to be showing you the most important parts that Brad mentions during this interview. So before we do that, make sure to subscribe. So let's begin.
This week we're here primarily to get as many classics as we can. So working with a range of teams, I think we're doing 7 cars in total, and we're just in the middle of miking up at the moment for a run later on.
So the first thing we can take away from this here is that 7 classic cars from the Goodwood Festival of Speed are being tested, and Brad crucially mentions the word this week, meaning it may not just be day 3 that they were there on, which was the day that the interview was given. So the entire EA team seemed to be there for the entire Goodwood Festival of Speed. But now I'm going to show you a list of F1 cars that were in attendance for the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and of course the ones that did demonstration runs, not the ones that were on show, because obviously they're not going to get audio runs, aren't they? And breaking all these cars down could be the first signs of 7 selected F1 cars that may be tested and we may see in the F1 game. Of course, the first thing we need to take away from this is the car shown during the video, which is the Benetton B186 from the 1986 season, and is even mentioned to be one of the cars which was getting recorders and mics fitted to many different areas of the car, which obviously that season had a BMW engine, so that'd be very good to see a completely brand new engine in the F1 game. So for sure, one of the cars that we could say will be included when the classic cars come back will be the Benetton B186, so let's keep that in mind. To also help with the F1 game situation and the current situation of the cars that were being tested at Goodwood, I've put together a spreadsheet on all the F1 cars that ran at Goodwood in 2026 and added a tick beside the cars that already have been featured in the F1 game's classic car list and a cross beside the ones that haven't. And as you can see, pretty much nearly the entire list has crosses, which is a very good thing, because it could mean any of those 7 cars crossed out could be making their way into the F1 game. Only 3 of these cars have already been featured, and that is the 1976 McLaren M23D, which appeared in the game from 2018 to 2019, and is the car that saw James Hunt take his only World Championship in an all-time classic season against Niki Lauda. There was so many good moments during that season, and it was that good of a year that it even made Hollywood. Another car that was previously featured in the F1 game was the 1996 Williams FW18, which was first featured in F1 2013 before returning in 2017 and remaining in that classic car list until the last F1 game to feature the classics, which was F1 2020. 1996 was the year Damon Hill won the World Championship, and when Murray Walker gave us this absolutely beauty of a line.
And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
The final car here is the Ferrari F2007, which gave Kimi Räikkönen, just like the previous two drivers I've mentioned in this video, his first and only World Championship, snatching it away from Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso in the final race of the season at Brazil, and crazy enough, is still the last Ferrari World Champion to date. Yeah, I know, it's a fact that I don't want to believe, and F1 fans sometimes don't even feel like it's real as well. Like, think about it, 2 decades. It has nearly been 2 decades since we last seen a Ferrari World Champion. Of course, Ferrari were Constructors' Champions in 2008, but that's still a year on from 2007. It's just as bad. It's nearly been 2 decades since we last seen a Ferrari World Champion and Ferrari win a Constructors' Championship. Yeah, see, you Ferrari fans, yous are unbelievably loyal, and fair play to you. But taking away the real life facts, the car in game was featured in F1 2017 all the way up to F1 2020. So the rest of these cars listed have yet to be part of the game's collection, and we definitely have some I'd really like to see in the mix here. Now, the oldest we've had in the game so far is the 1972 Team Lotus 72D, which was listed in F1 2018 and F1 2019. So I think it would be only fitting we head further back in time and bring the 60s era to the game, because we've had a selected amount of cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s and the early 2010s, and of course F1 history goes back to the 1950s, so it would definitely be a start to at least add one of the cars from the 1960s. If you want to know what I would personally prefer out the lot from the 60s that ran at Goodwood, well, I'm picking the Ferrari 156, which was one of the most dominant cars for the early era of Formula 1. It handles so much differently to what we drive now, and it looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, I think it's time we see a 1960s F1 car in the game. Let's get it done. We've spoke about the oldest car in the F1 game, now it's time to move over to the most recent, and they're all from the 2010 season, that being the Red Bull RB6, the Ferrari F10 and the McLaren MP425. So let's get a few more of these early 2010s added, that being the 2012 Lotus E20, which saw Kimi Räikkönen take his first victory back from a 3-year absence from the sport in 2009, and a great looking car in general, including those crocodile noses as well, which most cars had from the 2012 season. Some fans liked them and some fans didn't, but that's how opinions work. Along with the Lotus, let's fire in the Red Bull RB9, which in my mind should 100% be on this list, as it is the last V8 F1 car to win a World Championship to date, and was massively dominated by Sebastian Vettel, especially in the second half of the season, with 9 straight victories. But yeah, it would be for sure good to see them. There have been more recent F1 cars at Goodwood, and that is the 2021 Ferrari, the 22 Mercedes, the 23 McLaren and the 25 Aston Martin, but of course these aren't really classic cars or championship winners. But if you want to show off different eras, of course you could include the 2022 Mercedes W13E, as it is part of F1's first ground effect season since the early 80s. So it's not a bad choice, but of course I'm only going here with what cars with the 2026 Goodwood Festival of Speed. But if I was to pick any car from the 2022 season that should be included, I would either say the Red Bull or the Ferrari. So at this year's Goodwood, you can see we've got a good variety of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2010s and 2020s F1 cars, and I would say it's a good mix of cars that we could potentially get into this game. But if I were to choose 7 of the cars that Brad says that were being tested from that weekend, I would have to perfectly well balance these out from the 60s all the way to the 2020s to give us a good selection of all different eras of F1 cars. And here is my selection of the 7 cars I would like to see in the F1 game from this list. Let me know if you agree with it in the comments, and of course you could even drop your own version of this list as well if you want, so feel free to do so. There were other F1 cars that were at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, but mostly for the public view, and if there is any other F1 cars that I've not mentioned in this video that did do a demonstration run, please let me know in the comments below. But now it's time to get back to the interview.
I mean, our library for classic cars is pretty slim at the moment, so the reason why we're here now is just to try and bulk up that library, and there's like so many opportunities this week to get quite a large range of cars, so yeah, it's brilliant for us.
What I find interesting here is Brad mentions how slim their classic car collection currently is, and this goes to tell me that maybe we won't be seeing some of the classics we previously had, and could be a completely new list of cars by the time they return to the game, which I mean I'm not complaining about, but it would also be a real shame not to see the previous cars that we had before included. But we know this all could be down to licensing issues, and we can't really do anything about that, and it would be a real shame if we couldn't get those previous cars, but you know, We're all guessing at the moment, and I'm sure we'll find out soon.
At the moment, we've got we're going to put 3 recorders on the car, and then we're going to put 3 mics. So you can see one of the mics here for the engine. James is just installing another mic now next to the turbo and the engine, and then we're going to put another mic next to the exhaust, and then we'll take all those assets back to the studio.
I can't lie though, I find it absolutely fascinating how the whole process works to get these engine sounds from real life back to the studio and into the game. It's quite the effort, and I mean, fair play to them for doing this. And that is all the information we currently have on the return of classic cars to the F1 game. Can I guarantee they're going to be in F1 27? No, but is there a high chance they might be? I would say so, as next year's installment will be a completely reimagined title to the modern franchise after EA and Codemasters decided not to have a brand new game in 2026, but rather work on something bigger. And if you want to make a big impact for the game coming in 2027, you can start by bringing classic cars back. So, happy times ahead, guys. Unfortunately, we still have to wait a while before we get our hands on this reimagined game. It could be another year from now, but I'm sure it will come in very quickly. And if you want to see all the latest news building up to F1 27, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I've got you guys covered. And if you want to be featured on my channel, I've got a video series that I'm doing currently, which is things we all want in the reimagined F1 27 game. So leave your comments below and ideas what you'd like to see in the game, because we have still plenty of time before the final model of F1 27 finishes. So plenty of time to fire in your ideas, and I'm going to be making more videos in between this time, so please look out for them. Apart from that, guys, take care now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all very soon.